The Netherlands has been known to be one of the most expensive countries in the world, and that is correct. But if you do some proper budgeting and actually know what the costs are, you will be just fine. In this video, I'm going to do a full breakdown of all the costs of living in the Netherlands, as well as how to budget for them and how you can be prepared for what is to come. Number one, we are going to start with the most expensive cost in the Netherlands. As many of you know, the Netherlands currently has a housing crisis, and that means that your rental expense can be extremely high at times. It can range anything between 1,500 euros to 2,500 euros and even more. If you can get someone to share an apartment with or share a house with, I would definitely recommend this. It helps save a lot on the costs. The other thing that you can definitely consider is actually buying a house. Since the interest rates are so low in the Netherlands, sometimes it makes more sense to actually have a mortgage than to pay rent. This is something that you will have to decide for yourself with the means that you have and, of course, the type of loan that you will be able to get. If you want to have a look at two potential websites of where you can see some rented apartments, we always use Pararius as well as Funda. This has worked for us and in our own personal experience, but always be very cautious with the type of listings you go for, what the terms and conditions are behind those listings, and always make sure to thoroughly vet the apartment that you will be listing to ensure that you are not scammed or that there isn't a fraudulent transaction involved. Next up, we are going to speak about utilities. This includes water, electricity, gas, as well as your internet provider. So a lot of people actually don't know when they come over to the Netherlands is that you arrange your own water, electricity and internet. So you actually contact the providers and arrange a contract with them. It's not something that is just automatically included in your rental expense. So for electricity and gas, you usually either have a fixed contract or a variable contract. That is completely up to you, what you would like to use. A fixed contract means that you pay a fixed amount every month, and in the end, if you didn't pay enough, you will get an additional bill at the end of the year. So always make sure that you rather pay a little bit more than less to avoid getting a huge bill at the end of the year. The variable contract means that you are billed on your consumption. This can be great or not. It depends on the supplier of gas and electricity in the Netherlands. So we have decided to use a fixed contract, but that is something that is completely up to you and the risk that you are willing to take. For water, you will be billed on your consumption. For us, we are billed every third month, and it is completely based on how much you are using, and this is also quite a good point to actually start saving water. The less you use, the less you need to pay. And then your internet providers, this is also a monthly expense that you will have. For us, we will be paying a reduced amount for the first 6 months of our contract, which is great. For your normal fees for internet, you will look at around 50 euros, between 40 and 50 euros in a month. If you would like to have a look, please click on the link in the description where I have added an editable Excel template as well as a full breakdown of all the costs that we are discussing in this video. You can have a look, and it is something that will completely change your budgeting every month. Next up, we are going to talk about food, which is everyone's favorite expense. For a two-person household, we have budgeted 500 euros a month for food. This only includes groceries and not eating out, going to restaurants, which I will discuss a little bit later. we've actually seen that by packing our own lunch and making our own food, we have come out with a lot less than 500 euros. For example, last month, we spent approximately 350 euros on groceries, which is not that much when compared to other countries. If you do smart shopping, make food for more than one night, if you budget a little bit better and ensure to actually have food that will last longer, this is definitely an expense that you can manage and that you can bring down a lot to save more money. Now, those are some of the main expenses you will have that you need to live. Other smaller expenses will, of course, include bank fees as well as your medical aid cost. So medical aid is compulsory for everyone in the Netherlands, and you will look at about 150 euros per person for this expense. You will have an amount which you pay up to when you have medical expenses, and anything above that amount is actually then covered by your medical insurance. The amount that you will set as your basically first bracket that you will pay yourself is up to you. You can increase it and you will then pay a lower premium each month. Bank fees are of course a smaller expense. It could be around 10 euros for two people depending on your bank and the type of credit card, debit card and account that you have. Another expense which is very important to take into account is transport. This is again dependent on how far you have to commute, how far you live from your work, as well as whether you own a bike, whether you use public transport or a personal car. In our experience, this can be very expensive if you have to commute multiple times a week using a train. The costs build up quite quickly. So if it is possible to stay closer to your place of work, we would recommend that to reduce this cost. You can rent a bicycle for an amount of about 20 to 30 euros from a bunch of providers here in the Netherlands, which also saves a lot on your transport costs. And of course, if you have your own private car, depending on your company, if they provide this car or whether you have your own, remember to take into account parking fees as well as the tax on owning a motor vehicle. Then if we look at some of the more fun expenses, number one has to be travel. Now, this is one of the main reasons why we also moved to the Netherlands from South Africa, is to be able to travel, and we budget about 400 euros each month for this expense. This isn't necessarily to say that you need to spend 400 euros each month on travel, but it is something that you can save and build up for future trips, and it's something that we highly recommend if this is something that is important to you. Something that is also very important is to have personal spending money. We call it zakgeld or pocket money, which is money that you can spend on anything that you like personal products, clothes, anything of the sort. At the moment, we have a budget of about 250 euros for these personal expenses per person. It's something where you can just say, I would like to buy my own coffee, I would like to do whatever I want, and then you have this money available to yourself. Another thing is restaurants. Restaurants can be extremely expensive in the Netherlands, and this is something that we would advise you to avoid if you would like to save money, as this can quickly eat into your budget and leave you with either a negative balance or a lot less money to save. Rather save the restaurants for those special occasions. Then of course we have gym facilities, which is something that is very important to us. So we decided to actually join a gym close to our apartment. For two people, we are looking at about 60 euros a month, which I think is a great deal, especially thinking what we paid in South Africa. So this is something that is very optional. If you would rather just jog around, there are many parks in the cities and it is something that you can save some money on if that is not a priority for you. Then lastly, we are looking at subscriptions, which could be anything from your Netflix account to YouTube, iCloud, iMusic, whatever subscriptions you have. We have added about 25 euros for these smaller subscriptions, just to make sure that we budget for enough coverage for those. And then of course, we would also recommend that you just build in a little buffer for any miscellaneous expenses. This could be new TV set that you need, a new couch, blanket, whatever it might be that you feel you need in this month. And we've added a buffer of about 200 euros just to be safe for those expenses. And the last line item, which we have actually prioritized to be the first line item of our budget, is our savings. So this is completely dependent on your income. Whatever you have left after you've budgeted for your month's expenses, this is money that you put away, that you save or invest. And this is something that we really prioritize. We actually save at the beginning of the month to ensure that we can build a future for our family before actually incurring all of these expenses. If you would like to see exactly how we budget and what our estimate costs are for expats in the Netherlands, remember to look at the link in the description. Please keep on following and subscribing to Finding Fortunes, and we will see you in the next one.